Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. The Hawks lose tonight, 128 to 123 to Chicago Bulls in Chicago, which is the first game of their 4-game road trip that they have here. And there's a lot of different topics coming out of this game. We got to talk about Dyson. We got to talk about rotations. We got to talk about what went wrong in the second half, which led to the Bulls coming back and winning this game and eventually being able to hang on in the fourth quarter to beat the Hawks tonight. So we're going to get into all that on this Believe in Hawks episode. But before we get into that, if this is your guys' first time on the channel, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get more of this Believe in Hawks content. Leave a comment down below, like the video. All support is loved and needed for the growth of the pod and just, for the content that is being given. And then also from audio listeners, if you're listening, which you can listen to Believe in Hawks on any audio platform out there. Give me 5 stars if you can. Appreciate you for sure. And then also follow me on Twitter at Bryce_2K if you want to catch up with me there as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this game. So, like I said, there's a lot of things to come out of this game, right? The Hawks came into this game, right? Winnable game. Bulls are undefeated. They've beaten the Pistons and they've beaten the Magic. 2 teams that people expect to be playoff teams. Bulls play a style that's close to Indiana's, which is basically they're going to push, transition, threes, get shots up. They're comfortable getting into the 120, 130 scoring games. And they're a team that, especially in the regular season, the way they play, they can beat any team in the league. They will beat a great team in this league just because of the way they play. Just like if you ain't on it, it's like the Bulls are like one of those teams where I always say, if you are not on it that night, they will beat you. Because they are a high energy and high effort team. And that has been what gives the Hawks issues. Not even just this year, in previous years as well. They'll play high effort teams and they'll struggle. You'll see it on the glass. You'll see it in transition, which transition defense was an issue again tonight. And it could become a bit of an issue because, like I said, they're going to keep pushing. Even when you get a 9-10 point lead, you cannot chill with this team. The Bulls are going to keep shooting. They're going to keep trying to get his transition. They're going to try to crack your defense. So you have to maintain. And the Hawks had really 2 stretches of the game. Really, you could say 3 stretches of the game that really hurt them tonight. That first stretch was before the first half ended. Bulls went on that run to get it back within, a point in the first half? I believe. Yeah, get it back within a point in the first half, right? Hawks just did not play that well to end the first half. Cool, right? Come out of the second half, close game. Hawks got about a 6-7 point lead. You're feeling good. 8-point lead. All right, we're good. After that, Bulls go on like a 21-4 run. And then they get a double-digit lead that the Hawks were eventually able to cut back into and get it to, get it to 6 at the end of the third quarter. So you already had 2 big runs from the Bulls that have just you're playing from behind now. You went from you had a lead to it became close to now you're behind. And then in the fourth quarter, the Hawks had Trae Young off the floor. They were trying to survive the non-Trae Young minutes. They were okay for the first couple. And then that last minute is when the Bulls made a 7-0 run. And that pretty much put them in control. And that was also when the Hawks had a lead. They were like up 6 or 5, and they made a run. And that's what an experience of playing the Bulls is like, is that they're going to make runs, they're going to push, and the Hawks just didn't have answers. And really the third quarter one, when you just the game completely flipped to their side, and they had the lead and the advantage, made it tough. Because again, I think the Hawks just were out hustled tonight. The Chicago was great on the board tonight. They had 12 offensive rebounds, 51 for the entire game. Hawks had 36. They beat you on the boards. They got hot from 3. That was another big part of this game. The Bulls didn't shoot that well in the first half. Second half, they just completely lit it. I think they hit like 11 threes in the second half. So that kind of tells you like the Bulls heated up offensively. They put a lot of pressure on the defense. And Atlanta, relatively tonight, played a relatively cleanish game because they only had 6 turnovers. They weren't giving them easy transition baskets. In that regard, it was the more of the long rebound, boom, they push out, right? And so that's really where the Hawks kind of really had their issues tonight. So that really, really sucked. And like I said, Bulls were just able to make shots down the stretch, right? And that, like I said, this is one of those games that you're just like, man, you always feel like you should always beat. It's not funny. I say the Bulls are a funny team because when you watch them, when you think about the Bulls, you're like, okay, we play the Bulls. Who do they have? Okay, Buzelis is a nice young up and coming player. Yeah, he's nice. Who's their star player? Josh Giddey? Vucevic? Like you Kobe White? Like they're cool, they're nice, but like you're no players like strikes fear to you. So you're like, we have insert your star player here. We could beat them. And then you're like, brother, why are we struggling against this team? Like they are truly like Indiana, just a bunch of guys who play the way Billy Donovan wants to play, and they do it really, really well. And so that is what makes them hard to beat. You know, Chicago, remember, when they made those trades at the trade deadline last year, people thought the Bulls were throwing in the season, and they actually made a run to get into the playing contention. So they've been kind of ascending since last year, and now they're 3-0. They're confident right now. And so I didn't look at this game as easy. I look at this as a very tough game for the Hawks. Hawks have had trouble with the Bulls, so there is no reason why we should think this is an easy game. But, you know, some fans are going to think that. And they came out and showed why it's not an easy game. Like, Bulls are tough, man. Bulls are tough. So all credit goes to the Bulls tonight for what they were able to do and get themselves back. But now let's look at the Hawks. And let me talk rotations first. I'm going to talk rotations before I get to Dyson. So one of the big conversations that have came out of a lot of these games is the type of lineups and rotations that Quinn has put on the floor, right? And the conversation continued tonight. I think there could be a long-term issue in the front court. And it's not what you would think is a negative, but could be a negative. One thing I could say about our front court is, like I said, Kristaps is not an athletic big. He's not a runner. Like, that's why when we talk about pace, that is not really Kristaps' game. Pace. He is a better half court. He helps the Hawks a ton in the half court. The Hawks have been a much better half court team this year than they have been in previous years. And he had a great game tonight. He attacked mismatches. Like, that's his game. He is not an up and down runner, high energy, out hustle you kind of guy. But he makes up for it in the half court. His ability to hit threes, big body in the paint, can, deter shots, right? Jalen Johnson, athletic guy. Get downhill, dunk on folks, layup, powerful, good passer, also a good defensive rebounder, things like that. But he has his issues on defense, especially in transition defense. And you would think that wouldn't be an issue, but it has been for him. And then Onyeka, had a strong game tonight as well, but, a little undersized, not like I said, not the biggest guy. And when I think about those three, I'm like, who is the energy guy? Who is the guy who's going to out-hustle guys? And this may sound crazy. I think our best in terms of just high energy big that we have is is Newell. Like, I think it's him. I think when I've seen him play, he is someone who's willing to out-hustle someone. But the problem is, where can he get minutes? He's the fifth big, technically. Because you got Mo Gay in front of him, which he deserves minutes. And he brings value because he's he's probably one of our best athletic defensive bigs that we have and can protect the rim. Tonight, he didn't do anything stat-wise, but if you watch the game, his rotations defensively, he disrupted some stuff that Chicago was doing. And so I think there almost is a logjam in the front court. And so the issue is I'm seeing people calling for like more Gay minutes, more Newell minutes, but whose minutes are you cutting? Because KP, here's the thing about KP. KP played 26 minutes tonight. KP will play between 25 and 30 minutes the majority of this year just because they're going to monitor him. We have the sickness thing. They're not going to extend KP too much. So they're going to manage him through the season. So you're going to get some minutes freed up for some bigs. But the problem is you ain't going to get that many freed up. Kongu played 29 minutes. Some people may think you could cut into that. Does a Kongu need to play 29 minutes? He had 18 and 10 tonight, and he was +4. So tonight, it was kind of justified for him to play. And he was also a part of the comeback kind of the Hawks made with him and Trey. But, like, again, you could maybe cut into his minutes a little bit. Maybe. But still, Gay played 10 minutes tonight. Are you cutting Gay's minutes and giving, that? You see what I'm saying? And I think we're going to be sitting here like, why doesn't Quinn play these guys in the front court? And it's like, where's the minutes coming from? And I think a logjam is possible there. But then when we get to the guards and the wings, that's where I think people really have their gripe. Because tonight, Zach did not play well. I think he did some good stuff off ball, but like he didn't play well tonight. Obviously, he's coming back from the ankle injury. We don't know if that hampers him at all right now. And Dyson didn't play well tonight. But after the game, Dyson has been struggling offensively a lot. And people were saying that Ricochet should have finished the game. People believe you have to let Ricochet play through stuff. And Quinn sometimes is too quick to just be like, I'm pulling you out the game. You're not doing this. And I know people don't like that in terms of for his development. So because Nickeil finished the game tonight, which I've said when we brought Nickeil in, he'll probably finish a lot of games this year for us this year. Just because, I mean, realistically, if Quinn's going to take someone out the closing lineup, it's going to be Zach. He will ride and die with Dyson. And I think the reason, too, is because they know Dyson is not an offensive engine for them. So, like, even if he gives you, like, 8 points, that's not why him doing that's not going to make him take out the lineup, right? But I know people were kind of like, we need to finish with Ricochet. And then people were wanting Dyson to get benched tonight because he wasn't playing well offensively, which he was not. He has not played well offensively this year. And the thing about Quinn is, and this sometimes is what separates a great coach from a good coach. It is in the coaching fraternity, I think it's difficult to say this guy has been a core piece of our team, a very important part of our team. I'm going to bench you for this game for someone else, right? And you can make an argument with Nickeil there. They could have that avenue to bench Dyson if Dyson isn't playing well. And if Zach's playing well, the thing about Quinn that people have criticized him about is that he will sometimes sit hot players because he has to go back to who he usually finishes with. And it's like, brother, if they don't got it, it's okay. Like, it's a game-by-game basis. You don't have to keep sticking with the same people if they don't got it going. The only three players you could say that we probably could never really bench, unless certain matchups, is Trey, Jalen, and KP. And KP, that can depend. If you're playing as a smaller team and the other, and like a Kongu or somebody's playing better, you could technically go with that, right? But those are your three guys that you ain't going to sit. So you only got two. And I feel like Dyson is more he's not a sittable player in that position. And so then the problem is now it's like Zach may be getting taken out of the game when people think we need him more than we need Dyson in a certain situation, especially with the way he's playing offensively. I know people have questioned him sometimes when he has like Keaton Wallace. That has been a remainder. Keaton Wallace minutes. Why is he getting minutes? And Brad has said this, and I agree with this. They don't even need a point guard in the rotations in the lineups he's been a part of. They don't need Keaton there. The thing is, Keaton will defend. He will hustle. He is a decent ball handler and really just depends. I mean, he can make a shot, but he's not out there looking for a shot. Right? Like, he only played 5 minutes tonight, which again is essentially why I keep saying, like, you can't really go get a better backup point guard because those minutes are not going to get higher. They're not going to go from 5 to like 20 minutes. It's just not going to happen. So because of that, I have said that I think Vic Krejci needs to play because here's my thing. Vic Krejci is a really good connector of the basketball. I think a lot of people think he's a better ball handler than Keaton. And then he's a better three-point shooter. That's fact. He has more value, I think, in playing than Keaton does. And so I think people are just every game. It's why is Keaton playing? Why is Keaton playing? Especially tonight, we went 10 guys. When was the last time Quinn voluntarily went 10 guys without injuries? It's been a while. So people have just been like, they feel like the rotations and who he pairs who with just hasn't been good. Like his first quarter rotations, solid. Second quarter rotations, shaky. Third quarter rotations, he tightened them up. All right. Fourth quarter, like the only big thing is Zach sitting. So like people, like I said, with the expectations that the Hawks have this year, people are going to be looking at Quinn Snyder very closely. Like, Quinn, you know what type of year we are expecting to have this year. If you do not get us to those expectations, brother, how do we not know Auntie Salah is not going to let you go? Because he didn't bring you in. He did not bring you in. So, it's been tough for sure. Because I think you have so many guys who could play. Like people are saying, why is Luke Kennard playing so many minutes? He played 21 minutes tonight. Why is he playing so many minutes for the limited production he's giving us? The people are like, you literally could cut some Luke Kennard minutes and give them to maybe some other, maybe potentially Krejci minutes, or potentially if you want to give them to Zach. Zach only played 20 minutes tonight. I don't know if he was on a minute restriction. Maybe he was, but I feel like people look at Luke as, if he got it going, give him more minutes. If he ain't got it going, cut his minutes. Like, people need Quinn to be able to take that leap of assessing the game and saying, he doesn't have it tonight, might need to cut his minutes. Where I feel like sometimes Quinn just kind of sticks with what he's comfortable. I'm comfortable with him on the floor, even though he doesn't got it going. The belief that he will find it, he can get it going. And I know that, like I said, can be frustrating for people because they're like, if he don't get it going, he's hurting the team, right? So, and that leads me to Dyson. So let me get to talk. Let me talk about Dyson Daniels, right? Let me talk about Dyson. Dyson was bad offensively tonight. 1-8 from the field, 2 points, right? Listen, I've talked about his value. He had 7 rebounds tonight. He is one of the few people who will crash the boards for the Hawks, which they need, which is why rebounding has been an issue for them, especially defensive rebounding. But offensively, and I think the biggest play that really has solidified that has been the fact that Trey found him on a cut. He missed a layup. I think that, like, he has been missing some easy looks this year. And people, listen, Dyson, we knew is not this elite offensive player. So that's not the issue that he's not playing at this high offensive level. The big thing about last year is he had his games where he wasn't great. But I would say Dyson was a steady offensive figure. Like, if he, he was like, all right, I get you 10 points, 11, 12 points tonight. Like, I can do that pretty consistently. And that worked. Literally, if we got 8 more points from Dyson tonight, we win this game. The issue is that he's missing easy looks, but he's also just not making great offensive decisions. It's almost like he's not comfortable. That's what it gives off to me. Like, Dyson is not comfortable right now. And I don't know why he isn't comfortable. I don't know what plays in him not being comfortable. Like, I don't know, for a guy who we've seen the workout videos working on his offensive game, he has not showed any of that. Like, I'm just being honest. He hasn't. It seems like he's regressed. And it's like, why? And obviously since he just got paid, people are going to connect, oh, he got paid. He don't care no more. And obviously right now Dyson's going through a funk. And we need him to figure it out and get out of it because they're going to need him. Because essentially 2 of your starters tonight gave you 4 points combined, Ricochet and Dyson, right? But it's just one of those things that I think you really need Dyson to kind of just get himself where he needs to be, right? Because if not, you would, it's funny. People are going to say Matt. If you know Matt, you know that he is a notorious Dyson Daniels hater. Thinks Dyson Daniels is one of the worst players in the game, overrated, whatever, right? Right now, his narrative is looking great. Right now, his narrative is looking fantastic because of what's happening with Dyson. And, that's just where we are right now. So, I mean, I'm not worried about the Hawks in terms of like long term. I think things will even out. I think, it's beginning of the season, but they got to win. They got to win some games. And just to make the fan base feel better about the direction of the team. They play Brooklyn coming up. They better win that game. Because it's early. I'm not going to panic, but I'm definitely going to have that eyebrow up and be like, what are we doing? So that's just been kind of my assessment of what's kind of going on. Because like I said, there's been a lot of different talking points coming out of tonight's game. A lot of different talking points coming out of tonight's game. A lot of different, like, what's going on, what's happening. And listen, the second half, like I said, defensively for the Hawks was not good. They allowed 1.42 points allowed per possession, 50% defensive rebounding. So they weren't getting boards. They only got 50% of the defensive boards in the second half. True shooting percentage for the Bulls was 74%. And they had great offensive numbers. It's just defensively they couldn't do it. Starting front court only had 8 rebounds. You need a little bit more from that. Transition defense continue to have lapses. Defensive rebounding, which we'll probably hit on more and more, it needs to be better. Trey couldn't hit the 3. He was really killing the Bulls tonight with mid-ranges and floaters. And I kind of didn't like that 3 that Trey took late. I really would have wished that he would attack the Bulls because that's where he's finding success. I think he's trying to have this 3. The thing with Trey is, like, I think the issue is that since Quinn encourages him to take him, he's trying to take him. But then it's like, Trey, I feel like right now your best offensive game, like when you helped the Hawks beat the Magic, you hit a 3, but like it was really the fact you were getting to the paint, floaters, foul, things like that. Same thing here with the Bulls. When you got them back into the game, it was floaters, fouls, mid-range. Like you were doing that. And I want to see you keep doing that because it's almost like Trey has to fill the game out and say, right now I'm hitting this. This is where my strengths are right now for this game. Let me keep hitting that. And so I think that's the thing. I think that's the issue. And it's just one of those things that I think is going to be interesting to kind of see how the team is managed moving forward. I think people are going to, like I said, look at rotations, look at defense, and think if those things don't improve, how does that impact the season, right? Yeah, so, I mean, because like I said, tonight, the Hawks didn't turn the ball over, and they were good in the half court. Literally, the Raptors game was the same story. They were better than the Raptors in half court offense. They just couldn't stop it. Literally, it feels like one of those things. If the Hawks can limit transition, they will win because they are a much better half court offensive team than they were a year ago. But at the same time, if they cannot stop people from like Brooklyn, I expect them to beat Brooklyn. We'll see if they do it. Like the Pacers game is going to be the game I'm not going to probably be watching the Pacers game, guys. I'll be working, but I would definitely try to keep up with that game. Because, yeah, a team that runs. God forbid Indiana hasn't won a game going into that game. So now it's like, oh, God, we're going to give Indiana the first win of the season, are we? And then you got Cleveland. So, when Chicago puts pressure on the Hawks defense and they start having the cross match, scramble around, and also when they're not able to have, a more set defense, the Hawks struggle. And I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't look, like I said, KP's not I'm going to run all over the floor type of guy. He is a lumbering, I don't want to say he's lumbering because he's not like a stone feet guy, but he isn't like Gay. You see Gay, his rotations, his speed, getting the spots. You see the difference between him and watch KP on defense. KP's more of I'm at the rim, you come at me, my hands are up, I'm 7'3", you can't shoot over me. Hey, that kind of rammed. And then Gay is more, I can get you to the spot. Ooh, I'm right here in your face. You got to pass the ball back out. You know what I'm saying? It's different. So I'll be curious if defensive rebounding becomes an issue. Does Newell get minutes? How does Quinn figure that out? And that's why I kind of point out all the stuff I pointed out. These are some things that they're going to have to figure out. It's game 4. They have time to figure it out. You just want to start winning some games along that path to make you feel better that when we do figure it out, that's when we make our run. That's when we start our streak, and that's when we make a step forward. So Tough loss, obviously, in Chicago. But you just got to keep pushing. You got to get ready for Brooklyn, man. Brooklyn on Wednesday. So, we'll keep doing our thing here at Believe in Hawks for show. But I think that's about it for this episode. If y'all enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Audio listeners, leave 5 stars on the podcast, wherever you're listening to me on. And then also follow me on Twitter at Brycey_2K, BRICEY2K. And like I said, we'll have to see. Obviously, tough loss, winnable game, but just got to bounce back. So I think that's about it for me. It's your boy Bryce Lewis. See you next time.